I keep going, the Leafs could get this for Frederik Andersen. They could get this for Andreas Johnsson. They could get this for Alex Kerfoot. I wonder if what's driving the price down is the just naked obviousness of why the Leafs would make those deals, because they have to. So, yeah, they've paid a chunk of the contract, and there's value in that. They're good players. There's obviously value in that. They're cost-controlled. There's value in that. But, I mean, let's not pretend this is one-way street. I'm doing something for you, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, I was reading Jonas Siegel and James Myrtle, and, well, they could trade Nylander. They could trade Kerfoot and Johnsson, and I'm just like, is Petro the guy? He would solve a lot of issues.
And he would create some too.
Yeah.
And okay, so if Petro costs you 9 or 9.5, because if he loses the 8th year, he's going to want to go to the 9. He's going to want to come in around 60 to 64 million, right? Because that's the deal St. Louis has laid out on the table, which he seems to be fine with. If the bonus money structure was different, deal would be signed already. So if that was the case, and that's what he's coming in at, you know, you're not getting Alex Pietrangelo, the player, yes. However, Travis Hamonic, TJ Brody, Chris Tanev, and multiple others are up this season. You could probably call the Coyotes about Chalmerson and Oliver Ekman-Larsson if you're that interested.
And anybody on the roster.
Anybody on the roster. And, I mean, you probably could get them to retain at this point because there's probably a little bit of desperation coming out of Arizona right now, frankly, based on their situation. And it's a shame what's happened because a lot of that has to do with the climate of the world right now. The reality is, I don't know. Like, do I want Pietrangelo to be a Leaf and then for them to figure it out later? Yes. But would I be a little bit more comfortable with like a Hamonic Brody signings that are about the same amount of money? So imagine you get them both at 4.5. That's one Alex Pietrangelo. And you've got Riley, Hamonic, Muzzin, TJ Brody. And Justin Hall is on your right side, and then the bottom left is probably Rasmus Sandin, and you're hoping that he can step into Morgan Riley's role a little bit at least once Morgan Riley is up in a couple of years.
It's all philosophies, right? Like another thing from the Myrtle Siegel article is, you got to ride your stars, and your stars got to produce. Which is, if they don't, you're screwed. And I'm like, as opposed to what?
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
That's been the last 3 years.
But if we talk about what Dallas has done, where they've gotten goals from. Who are these guys? Who are these guys?
Who the hell
are these guys?
I think you need depth to win 4 rounds, but the Leafs need to get through 1.
Yeah, the Leafs have had neither. They haven't had the star scoring or the depth scoring in the last 2 playoffs. So
the question becomes then: is it worth it to pin your hopes on one guy like you have up front on a few guys? If Pietrangelo goes down early, guys, they're screwed.
Yeah.
Dallas is also a great example of taking care of both ends of the ice because they were talking about, Tyler Seguin, snake bitten. And I'm like, how many times through his career has he gone through these scoring droughts? And he's still making $9 million, and also the Dallas Stars still win.
Yes.
Clearly something is going right with the way he's managing the ice.
He plays well.
Yes.
Good player.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he's not scoring.
I don't think for the Leafs right now, one guy fixes the entire decor.
I don't think so either. You got to have
betting on that doesn't seem like the right decision.
I'm trying to look at it from their philosophy, though. If you look at, and sorry, Steve, give me 1 sec. If Justin Hall plays the way Justin Hall played the first part of last season, if you can bet on that, which I don't know if you can, then all of a sudden that picture becomes a little rosier. $2 million, plays well with Muzzin. They were the best defense pair that they had last year because the Leafs were bound and determined that Cody Ceci was going to be anchored to Morgan Riley instead of trying anyone else, literally anyone else. And to me, if that is the case, if Pietrangelo and Hall are both humming along, the Leafs look pretty good.
It's unacceptable that, who are the Leafs' concrete defense pairings last year? Muzzin Hall.
Ceci Riley.
Nope.
What do you mean they weren't concrete?
It was for a while. It was for a while, and also it sucked. But it was concrete, man. They didn't move it.
But it was concrete until injuries as well.
Yeah,
they switched off of it to
one guy goes down, and then you have $9 million in Petro, and you have no room again to add anybody to your roster.
You're screwed anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think you're screwed anyway. But like they had Riley Berry, and then Riley went down with injury, so they had to split that up. And then when the season resumed, they went right back to Riley Cece. But who's the best defenseman on the damn Leafs? Morgan Riley. Their number one mission this offseason, it doesn't have to be Petro, but their number one mission this offseason has to be to find Morgan damn Riley a defense partner.
And play him with that person.
Yes!
The other thing, okay, so the other effect of Pietrangelo, like we're looking at cap implications, and sometimes I think, especially in Toronto, because we've had so many cap issues in the past, our focus tends to only be that. But if I look at, the only successful Toronto franchise recently, well, there's been two, TFC and the Leafs, the Raptors. With the Raptors, Kawhi Leonard coming in, playing the way he did, you could see the development and the advancement of the players around him as the season went on. And yes, the Raptors didn't make it out of the second round this year, but the reality was that they, as you do in the NBA, they had a star not show up. Pascal Siakam did not show up. He was not Pascal Siakam, so they didn't win. And it's just like any other league. If your stars don't show up, if Tom Brady doesn't show up, Tampa Bay doesn't win. That's just the reality. What I saw in that, though, was there is a pedigree type of player like Kawhi Leonard who are so good and set such an example that everybody around them watches and learns. And I wonder if with guys like, is Timothy Liljegren that far out? I don't know. Is Rasmus Sandin that far out? I don't know. Could they benefit from being around a guy like Alex Pietrangelo and potentially give you value once they've learned from him and absorbed information from him that they can't from coaches? Just watching him play, maybe there's some reality, like some value there. And maybe that's what gives you the opportunity where in a couple of years, I think they've burned the first year of Rasmus Sandin's contract, but in a couple of years, maybe they're signing bridge deals, but at least then it makes them more affordable in the meantime and gives you the depth you're looking for. And then they've got this defenseman out of Finland as well, do they not?
Oh, Mikko Lehtinen.
Yeah. So who's lighting it up right now, doing really well.
That was remember last training camp, which was a year ago now, when Ilya Mikheyev might play with Austin Matthews, and I'm like, can we slow down? Who is this? We've never seen this player. What do you mean? Who is this? And what's driving me nuts about people talking about next year's roster is people like slotting Barabanov on the third line and Mikko Lehtinen in the top four, and I'm like, you have not seen them play. Why are you doing this? You don't know who these people are.
And Korshkov's
I give you a lineup of people.
Yeah, Korshkov.
Right?
Korshkov's on the first line.
He could come in and be a contributor.
Well, he's gonna have to quarantine. The KHL is ridiculous right now. The KHL, we just don't care. But it's very KHL. Anyway, this all comes back to, so yeah, Jesse was saying, if he goes down, you're screwed. Well, yeah, but yeah, they need a top guy.
We're seeing Tampa Bay almost win the Stanley Cup without Steven Stamkos.
But they had Steven Stamkos to learn from. They had Victor Hedman to learn from. Sergachev is better.
No, I'm just speaking to the injury part.
Oh, fair.
I'm just saying you should. Injuries are going to happen in the NHL, and if Alex Pietrangelo goes down and he's on the Leafs, it shouldn't screw up their entire franchise. And I feel like it would, because they have no backup plan because they spent so much money on his roster slot.
The Leafs had some success though, like Tampa, with Matthews out of the lineup, with Tavares out of the lineup, with Marner.
The forward group is a different group though.
Right. No, so I'm looking at Tampa though, because they're crazy front loaded. And they're everything loaded, right?
Yeah, really.
They're to me, they're just a different beast. They're the best team in the NHL.
That's how you want. That's what I'm trying to say. That's how you want the Leafs defensive group and their forward group to be. If the Leafs forward group, if Tavares goes down, you still have Austin Matthews. If Morgan Riley goes down, which happened last season, they didn't have anybody to play that position. They had Tyson Barrie, and it didn't really work.
I don't think you can sign your way out of that problem, though. I think you got to draft your way out of that problem, which Tampa's done a really good job of.
Well, and that's why I don't think to build their roster differently.
Yeah, they do, and that's why I think It's odd to say, but like when you look at it from that perspective, it does make a lot more sense to sign a guy like Pietrangelo and draft with that first round pick. And maybe this is the year where you draft for position. I don't know. Maybe this is or you draft the best player available and you stop hoarding the players that you're drafting and start moving some of them.
Yes.
Stop hoarding Andreas Janssen before his value's tanked, right?
How often do you see a team draft the best player available and then have a hole somewhere else and then trade that guy? It's so rare. It's that's
what the Leafs were supposed to do, except they're like, no, we're keeping it all.
No one
finally dealt Kapanen.
I can barely hold it against them because nobody bloody does it. You know what I mean? So if you're a team that has shitty defense and you're picking 15th and a guy who you had ranked 6th comes up and he's a forward, or you have a guy who you ranked 12th and he's a D, take the defenseman. You don't have any, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because you're not going to trade that guy. Because you want him so bad that you're willing to take him above someone who plays a position that you need. Oh, yeah, and now you're going to let go of that guy who you had to have? You're now going to flip. I doubt it. I don't think so. I just don't think it's going to happen. So, yeah, I'm with you. Draft for position.